Mandela Bay Mayor Gary Van Niekerk joins us now for more on this. Mayor, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. It's reported here that the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality is pushing to spend the grants for the upgrade of informal settlements by December. Why the acceleration is because the Eastern Cape Provincial Executive Council is already saying they want the mayorship.
Good evening, Tao. You went from one thing to the other now very quickly. Firstly, let me speak on the relocation of the residents from Lapland to Van Rooyen's. Yes, that we are moving with speed regarding that. The one word that we've been using since the disaster happened on the 1st of June is that we need to show agility. We've done our part as the municipality. If you look at where the people suffered the most was with electricity, being without electricity, having their sanitation restored. So we still have the issues when it comes, our biggest headache is electricity. Yeah. There's still outages happening frequently, but our team, how they're responding is very important. And those employees in electricity and energy department, we really take our hats off to them for the hard work that they've been doing. Regarding the mayorship that you alluded to, it's not something that's on the forefront of my mind. It's about service delivery, as the acting city manager said it now in your introduction. We're focusing 100% on this revitalization plan. One of the areas, Helenvale, which is one of our worst affected areas when it comes to gangsterism and crime and killings. We're starting with Helenvale. If we can get Helenvale right, if we get Helenvale clean within the next couple of days, we've got the Minister of Police visiting our shores again for the third time in about 3 months. And on Friday, we'll be signing an MOU with SAPS, with ourselves as the metro, with our 3 divisions, which is traffic and licensing, as well as the municipal security, right, and of course our metro police, and together with correctional services as well. So yes, there's a lot happening in the city right now. The mayorship, that's not something that's something we're discussing at the moment. I know that the ANC are having discussions with parties, but it's not something that I'm really worried about.
Let's go back to the relocation a little bit. What is the criteria, what are the parameters that you're using as a municipality for issuing of these stands?
So, first of all, the people of Lapland, they were staying on a floodplain. So when this floods hit, luckily this time around, they weren't so badly affected. But we thought it had to happen that we relocate them to temporary shelters for 30 days. After 30 days, they moved back to their houses, and now they're going to be relocated to Van Rooyen's. The TRUs, we've already done the warmer area, but now it's Kariega, the TRUs, which is temporary residential units. They are coming in slowly, trickling in slowly. We're depending on national human settlements to assist us there. But the big issue, the visuals that you guys flighted on TV was actually in an area that the residents call the Heart. Now, if you go back there where the canal was or is, and how badly it's damaged, that is the area that's affected really, really badly. Yeah. And that's formal housing, and it's those communities who are now crying out for the last few months already that when is assistance coming to them? So we've got 60 million rand, our first tranche effectively that we're receiving within the next week or so. We will receive that money, and I'm when we look at the business plan and what they, because normally they ring-fence this money to say exactly what you can spend the money on and what you can't. So we're hoping, I'm really hoping and praying and I'm pleading with the national government, please allow us to use some of that money to assist the residents of the heart. That's the Jones Street area, etc., Jubilee area. Those residents are were really badly affected. Yeah. Let's rebuild their walls. Let's see how we can help them effectively and return their houses, their homes to what it was like before the floods hit.
Now, in our engagements, Mayor, at least in the last two, you had traveled to China to go on a learning kind of trip to see how they do things and to come back with some great ideas. How are you implementing, for example, a strategy that would see you being able to use a smaller piece of land but to accommodate a whole lot more people? If you look at China, that is, I'm sure, a technology that they are using quite well with the limited space and piece of land that they have in that country. Because you heard there in that insert some of the residents saying, well, you're only going to take 160 people out of the shelters. The rest of us are going to remain here. And they, of course, are of the view that there's more land available at Lapland that could accommodate more people. So the challenge is, how do you accommodate more people in the area or piece of land where you're moving them to now at Van Rooyen's?
So let me first start with the China trip. I accompanied on my last China trip, I accompanied the Premier, and we went looking for investments, and we brought back millions of rands worth of investments. We're still getting visitors coming soon. We had one already. There's another 3 visits happening between now and the end of the year, where the Chinese will visit Nelson Mandela Bay as well as Buffalo City Municipality, which is in East London. That's 1. 2, learning from the Chinese, that's something totally different. The Chinese do things totally different compared to how we do it. First of all, they are one-party state. 2, the agility they show, they basically not can. They did it already so many times. They've done it so many times. They build a city the size of Johannesburg within 10 years. They have a 10-year plan. In a 1 square kilometer area, you'll have 10 to 20 identical high-rise buildings going up at the exact same time. We saw this with our own eyes, and that's why I was so grateful that the Premier was able to see it as well. And it's that kind of agility that, and you will hear me use this word agility quite a number of times, because it's in the province we're doing it now, we're doing it in our metro. But certainly the investments that's coming, the construction companies hopefully will come on board, and eventually we'll be able to do what the Chinese do, and the long-term goal is to have smart cities within our province.
So you are limited by budget. In other words, you're saying in terms of how many people you're going to be able to move. There's a question around the accessibility to schooling as far as where you're moving people to.
Look, you can't have people living on floodplains. That's a disaster. It's a disaster waiting to happen if you allow people to live on a floodplain. What we are going to do is that those who are now moving further away from the schools, luckily we do have a commitment from our provincial government, from the Premier, etc., who said that they will assist those residents who are now moving further away from schools, so that the kids can be bussed in from Van Rooyen's to the schools that was close to the original Lapland area. But never again will people be allowed to live on the floodplains.
So what that means then is that you need a buy-in from that community. I mean, do you have a buy-in from them? Because others are already saying, well, look, it's not something that we are particularly keen on.
Look, we've been consulting with the communities. If it's not myself, it's the MMC of Human Settlements. If it's not him, it's the deputy mayor, it's the acting city manager. We've had Cocta come in, also having community meetings with all these affected residents. But certainly, the residents are happy to move. But what shouldn't happen is that when they move, others mustn't come and settle on the floodplains. That's the most important thing. But going forward, the gentleman that says that we won't come back, please hold us accountable. Speak to your councillor. We will be back. We will make sure that everybody eventually gets moved. There is another area identified. Once we've done the Van Rooyen's relocation, there's a second relocation happening as well.
So you're saying never again will people be allowed to build on the floodplains. How are you going to ensure that? How are you going to ensure that when you move that particular group, relocate them, more people are not going to come back and build again there where you've removed them?
And that's what's happened previously. But what's important is that we hold everybody accountable here. The minute we see people building there again, and I know we're going to be unpopular for doing it, but we're going to have to prevent people from setting up informal settlements on floodplains, not only in Lapland, but across the entire Nelson Mandela Bay municipality.
Let's wrap up back with the politics. You are sitting where you are. You're not going to engage the ANC at all?
I engage the ANC on a daily basis. The ANC has received that a directive from National that they want to take government, lead government, I should say, wherever they're the majority party. That's happened in other metros. What you must remember, Thabo, is that when I became the mayor, I didn't ask to be mayor. I didn't go around knocking on doors, say, I want to be the mayor. I was approached by different parties to say, would I accept their nomination as the executive mayor? And after consulting my own party, yes, we agreed to become the executive mayor.
Yes.
But nothing in life is permanent. Up until 2026, we want stability. The number one thing that I wanted to do was that I wanted to create political stability, and we have been able to achieve that. There's been numerous votes of no confidence. I think that 6 or 7, but this coalition held strong, and we were able to execute. We are, as you can see, all the things that's happening in this metro.
Yeah.
Things are changing, the tide is turning. And while if this is going to happen, where they take over leadership, the ANC takes over leadership in this metro, we must still have political stability during that transition phase.
Yeah.
And after that as well. The residents deserve it. They deserve that kind of stability.
Yeah.
We are now created a administrative stability as well by employing Mr. Mandela George that featured earlier on your insert. And definitely we're putting the residents first, and that's all I ask of all the parties in council at the moment.
So,
Please,
what does that mean? Will you be resigning your position as mayor, or you will wait for a motion of no confidence to remove you?
Now, I can't determine with motions, if there's motions coming. That depends on the opposition parties. But I've had my discussions with the ANC, and they asked for time for them to sort out all their processes. They're discussing with the other smaller parties, and they're discussing it with the other main opposition party, which is the Democratic Alliance. And after they've done that consultation, I just received a letter from the ANC Youth League, for example, where they've stated their position as to what the ANC should do. And they're definitely against them going with forming some kind of coalition, grand coalition with the Democratic Alliance. So what we have agreed to is that Let's give the ANC time to sort their house out.
Okay.
And after that, they'll come back to us. We'll have a negotiations. We'll have consultations with all relevant parties. But at the center of it all will be political stability.